What's up, NB family? It's your favorite Aunticle Yali here once again. Today, I'm not really going to be doing any makeup because I don't feel like it. I've actually been feeling pretty masked lately, which is pretty weird. Last week, I had some day. Oh man, I think there's a fly in here. My cat's chasing it. So you might hear him in the background jumping around making some funny noises. But okay, so like last week there was some day where I was like kind of like getting ready and I was kind of like trying to get pretty, and then I just like had this feeling in my body. I was just like, no, I actually feel really masked right now. And honestly, like that feeling kind of gave me like, it made me really uncomfortable because I was just like, I've spent so long really like trying to get femme. Why do I feel masked right now? It was kind of weird. I'm always having like this kind of back and forth. It really feels like the pendulum swings, and it's like if I get a little bit too masked, I'm just like, oh, I need to girl it up. And if I get a little too femme, I'm just like, wait, I need to boy it up, which is honestly really confusing and sometimes is really distressing. I don't love that. But here we are. Today, I have a nice happy medium. This is kind of what I'm trying to get to, is a place where I have this nice middle point where I'm like, today, I really feel like I'm giving both. I'm like, I got my nice little facial hair going, probably gonna shave this mustache later, TBH. And I'm wearing like basketball shorts, so I feel like I'm like Kevin Smith in that regard. But then it's like I'm wearing this like little shirt that I cut up. There's like a crop on it, a cute little necklace, my little headscarf. I love these things. Got my little tendrils flowing. Love it. But okay, today's not about me, because every day is about me. Today, I actually wanted to talk about THEYFABs. Hot button issue. THEYFABs are the biggest issue. Was this not... Did they talk about THEYFABs in the presidential debate yesterday? And if not, why not? Okay, so yeah, I want to talk about THEYFABs a little bit, and I want to talk about what I'm gonna call is like cis people who using they them pronouns. And maybe I'll talk about that a little bit first, because I don't know. I have a lot to say about all of this, but I don't know. We'll see how much I could get to. First, I want to start with a disclaimer. I love THEYFABs. I've been friends with and dated a lot of THEYFABs. Most of them are wonderful, wonderful people. I mean, there's terrible ones too, because there's terrible people of every demographic. Oh my gosh, yeah, yesterday I had something where they were like, I don't know, we were watching like some like reality show. There were like some queer people on it, and I think one of my friends was like, oh, like these people shouldn't be allowed to like call themselves queer. Like, I don't want to be in the same like association with these people. And I was like, hold on. We need terrible queer people. We need insane queer people. We need queer people who are like stupid and ugly and doing something lame, because that's just human, right? And it's like, if we didn't have any of those, and if you like had to be like this perfect, amazing person to like be like trans or queer or whatever, that would suck. That would be like such a high barrier of entry. And then it would be like, let's say you're being that perfect person and you make one mistake, and then it's like, ooh, you're no longer queer, because queer, I don't know, there's like this association with like queerness and with like good politics, which like, dog, we all know queer people with terrible politics. Come on, let's be real. So that's just a little aside. But okay, maybe I want to start this off with a story from the other night. It's kind of silly. I was at some party, and you know, I was like, yeah, kind of doing my like in the middle. I was like mostly dressed pretty masked, but I had some cute little makeup on, which, oh, true. In fact, I did do it in about 3 minutes, like I said in the last one. It took me 7 minutes because I was talking, but it took me 3 minutes when I wasn't talking, and that ruled. It was nice to know that I could very quickly get myself looking like, just like in a nice way that I really like. So that was cool. But anyway, so I was at this party, and like this girl walked in who was kind of like friends with some of my friends there, but we hadn't met each other yet. And she's just like, oh, what are your pronouns? And I was like, oh, that's kind of nice, because like earlier there was some other girl who was just like, oh, his hair, blah, 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 referring to me. And I was just like, actually, he uses they, them pronouns, which like, that was kind of funny. But so this other girl, it was kind of sweet that she asked. I was kind of like surprised, you know, it just has been a while since anyone asked me. Most people like either know or I don't know. It just wasn't like we were at a party. I don't expect to get asked. But so she asked and I like told her. And then a minute later, I was just like, oh, right, I didn't ask back. Because I've kind of been on like a not asking people's pronouns, kind of, unless I like really am unsure. And it's like, of course, like you can never know, like someone could look like whatever and have whatever pronouns. But it's like most of the time, right, if someone is like presenting very femme or very masc, like probably they use she or he pronouns respectively. Right, it's like that type of thing where it's just like, I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. Asking for someone pronouns is basically like clocking. It's like, hey, I could tell that you're trans. Like, can you confirm that you're like, you know, a trans man to me or a trans woman? Because otherwise I'm just gonna they, them, you. And like, that's kind of annoying in its own way. When it's just like, dude, like I worked hard for these she, her pronouns. Stop they, theming me. I have the joke where it's like, since I really like my they, them pronouns, I'm like, oh, I need to start presenting really femme, and then I'll finally get they, them consistently. So that's pretty silly. But anyway, so so like she was just about as woman as they come, you know, just like very like classically feminine, whatever. But she had the little side shave, so like I guess that was the indicator. It's like really goofy, right? How like these conceptions of like what gender or like what makes gender comes down to like such like little things, and like the queer coding of it all. I mean, it's a lot of fun, but it's just like kind of silly. But so a minute later I was just like, oh, I guess I should have asked her back. So I'm like, hey, what are your pronouns? And she's like, oh, you know, like she, her, but sometimes they, kind of in this like hair flip. And I was like, you know, in the instant, it kind of like rubbed me a little bit weird, because I was just like, I'm like, what's non-binary about you? I know anyone's allowed to be non-binary, but that's what we're about to get into. But I didn't say that. I was just kind of like, but I was like, I don't just want to, maybe I should have just been like, oh, okay, cool, and moved on. But I just like had to like make like a joke out of it. Also, because like everyone was drunk, and like, I don't know, I was like drunk and a little bit like flirty and teasy for not just for her, for a bunch of people, whatever. I don't know. I'm not really dating right now, but I was at the brat party and I was sipping on that brat juice. So yeah, I'm gonna be a little bit flirty with everyone. Anyway, she was like, she, sometimes they, and I was like, that's so brave of you. And I thought that was really funny, because you know, that's like, hopefully to anyone watching this, like it's obvious why that's funny, but it's like kind of a thing where it's just like, oh, like, I don't know, trans person comes out as trans, and they're just like, oh my God, like Caitlyn Jenner, you're so brave for this. And it's like I'm just living my life, you know. It's like I just had to do this for me. It's not because I'm brave. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's like brave to be trans because the world is transphobic, but like that's more about the world than the trans person. But anyway, so I thought it would be funny to tell her that she's brave for having they, them pronouns while just like being a woman. Once again, this is this channel. I'm gonna be real fast and loose with how I address people and talk about people. And sometimes it might be not perfectly PC. Y'all remember PC? PC was before woke. Now the woke mafia has taken over language. You can't even say politically correct anymore. Damn. So anyways, so this kind of gets to like the crux of what I want to talk about today. Which is like the sort of the THEYFAB discourse. Like, I feel like I've known a lot of these people, and like, okay, like the discourse was always like, okay, this is a person who in just about every respect is like existing and living as a woman in public, at least, you know, and you never know what's going on in someone's brain. Overall, like I tend towards being more positive about like theyfabbery and like cis people using they, them pronouns and stuff like that. Cause to me, I'm like, okay, this is at the very least an indicator that someone has like thought about gender and thought about the binary and been like, like maybe this doesn't really serve me. This feels like not a great thing for like people in general. So I'm gonna like, you know, put on this they, them pronoun and like think of myself as like non-binary. And to me, like, that expands the whole thing. It's like, you know, unpacking the binary, I'm like, that's awesome. But okay, the discourse, especially, this was like super prevalent when I was in college. I went to UC Santa Cruz, which, if you don't know, is like a very like hippy dippy liberal school. Like, literally the campus is in the forest and everyone there is all like, whew. It's very cool. And I feel like I met more people, I met more like THEYFABs than I met women, which is like kind of crazy, right? That's like very excuse me, that's double excuse me, that's like very not typical, right? In like most of the world, right? Like, most people just like are cis, are binary, whatever. So it was like very cool. But then it's like the discourse that I would talk about with some of my friends, especially like with some of my like trans girlfriends, would be like, you know, it's like, how many of these people are like actually non-binary and are actually gonna like do something with that and like carry it through them in the rest of their life, and how many people are gonna like graduate college and go like back to their hometown where it's less acceptable and like start working at like an office or like wherever the hell, where it's just like, if like being non-binary would make their life a lot more difficult, and so they're just gonna be like, yeah, she, her again. And it's just it's kind of is like, oh yeah, we used to joke about like being non-binary in college is the new like experimenting with girls in college, right? Which, like, both of these things, I think, again, it says more about the society, where it's like, this person is non-binary, but like because of the societal pressure, they like kind of go back to being cis, or at least communicating themselves as cis. I don't know, I think it's like a really interesting thing. You know, this is all from like the last couple years, from like when I was in college, so we don't really have like the longevity of like the data or whatever for me to be like, oh, how many of these people did go back to being cis or whatever. Hey Mish, you good, bro? He's biting. Mish, can you play with this? Mama Cat Daddy's recording a vlog. Good boy. So yeah, that's kind of like the thought, is like, yeah, I don't know, versus, or not versus, period on that thought. But yeah, like, you know, I want to like give some credit to like the THEYFABs, because, you know, I'm trying to give a lot of credit and like move forward the discourse and the thought around THEYMABs, because I think it is important, and I think that we don't have that much representation. But like THEYFAB is the representation of what a non-binary person is, and it's like, I don't know, it's like interesting. It's very, very, very interesting. Sorry, I feel like the last minute, but this cat is really distracting. Okay, maybe I'll switch over to talking about the cis people who use they them pronouns. Now this, come on, dude, give me like 3 more minutes. It's not gonna be 3. I talk so long. Oh my gosh, he's biting. He's Joe biting. Mish, can I finish this vlog, please? He's so cute, but he's so destructive. He's like a wild animal, and I'm so prey-coded. Oh my god, I'm so prey-coded. If any bad bitches want to hunt me or whatever. Okay, so this was like a thing that would come up really often in college again. So, you know, I don't know how much this happens outside of that, but especially like, you know, at Santa Cruz, it would always be like, you know, it's the beginning of class, the beginning of the new semester or whatever, and, you know, we're going around the room doing introductions, and it's like, okay, say like, you know, your name, your pronoun, and your major, and maybe something else. And there would be a lot of people. I actually noticed more guys doing this than girls, which was really interesting. They'd be like, oh yeah, you know, my name's like Jacob, he, him, or like, I don't mind they, them. And I thought that was really interesting. And I feel like it was like, I don't know. I feel like these were like people who like were cis, but were kind of just like, oh, well, like a lot of people are using they, them pronouns. and there was like a lot of that idea of like, if you don't know someone's pronouns, like you could just use they, them, and it's like neutral, and like anyone can be called that, sort of. That's like the idea anyways. So I feel like a lot of these dudes would be like doing that. I saw like women do it too, but most of the time, like if women rarely would be like, oh, and I don't mind they, them. They'd be like she or they, like they is okay, you know. Excuse me. I was moving stuff around and it got all dusty. And yeah, I don't know. I don't have like that much of like a point on this. I just think it was like very interesting. And it was kind of like, dude, like if you're non-binary, like that's cool. Like you should own it. You should like own this like detachment from the binary and this like disinvestment in it. But if you're not, like just be a dude. Like that's fine. That's the idea, right? Is it should be fine. But I'll say this, at Santa Cruz, especially in the programs that I was in, I kind of feel like it wasn't that okay to be a dude. You know, I studied like feminist studies and I studied ethnic studies, which in both ones, you know, it would be like, oh, like men are the root of most of these problems, or white men are the root of most of these problems. And I feel like that was really, it was really weird and difficult for me. You know, I was like non-binary and I was like coming into like my trans femme identity, but it almost felt like part of it was that I wanted to, and it was something coming from within, but it also felt like this real like external pressure where it's like, if I have this conception of myself as like a man and I'm reading all this stuff where it's being like men are the root of all these problems and like patriarchy and stuff, it would lead to me feeling like really bad about myself. And it made me like wanna even more so like distance myself from masculinity. And that was in a way that I thought was like really destructive. And that's even like me being, you know, older than most of the college students. Like I took a few years off in between high school and college. Then I spent like 3 years at community before transferring to university, where most people were like, yeah, like, you know, 18 to 22, like fresh out of high school. And I was like, wow, like if I hadn't like lived in the world for a while already and like gotten some like understanding of who I am and how the world works, like I would feel like the stuff I'm learning is really like totalizing, and like this is just how it is. And I remember, even though I had that experience, like it was just so much on me that a lot of the time I would just like go out to the local like mall strip area just to like see normal people like smiling and having a good time, and remind myself like, oh, like not everything is terrible in the world. Like not everyone is experiencing oppression at all moments. You know, there's women here and they're happy, and there's people of color here and they're happy or smiling or whatever. So, but yeah, back to like, oh, well, yeah. So I wonder like how many of these like dudes were like, oh yeah, but I'm non-binary, or like, but I like they, them is okay. Because it was like, yeah, it was like kind of like, that was like the air we were breathing was very like non-binary and gender challenging, like the binary gender and stuff. So that's pretty cool. But then there's like the flip side of like what I was saying, where it's like a lot of young people and like, you know, like a lot of progressive people who mean really well have gotten that line about like, oh, like you can use they, them for anyone because like it's not, you're not gonna like misgender someone. But then kind of getting back to, you know, it's like, you know, it's like, let's like for like a trans woman or a trans man who just is like binary and like uses just like she, her, or he, him pronouns, and if you call them they, like that's like a misgender of its own. And that's like, I don't know, it's like a really interesting and kind of weird, it's like a sort of a tricky one. But yeah, like I've met some people who kind of just use the they for everyone, and I get that it comes from like a well-meaning place, but it almost feels like they're like, like I don't really get all this gender stuff, like I'm not that invested, I don't really care that much, but like I know that other people do, so like let me just like train my brain to just call everyone they, them, that way I won't offend anyone and like it'll be fine. But then you do end up offending some trans people who very much care about their gender. Maybe also offending cis people who care that much about their gender. I don't really know. I don't really know of any instances where a cis person gets like they, them, and is like, rah. So I don't know. There's probably like more to say about THEYFABs that I didn't cover, but this already hit 20 minutes just now, and I'm trying to keep these on the shorter side, which as you can see is very, very difficult for me. I love to yap. And I have so many ideas on. My cute little kitty is so distracting. So today, he's gonna bite me. This is Mish Mish, if y'all didn't know. My little boy, Mission Guillermo, what a cute little guy. Anyways, even though I didn't do makeup, let's get some light on the face. All right, everybody, have a good day. I hope that you spend some time challenging the binary today. Let me know how in the comments. Ooh, I'm sweaty. Well, the heat wave in LA just ended, so I'm gonna go biking. Catch me out on I'm not gonna tell you where I'm gonna bike because I don't wanna get anything happen to me. Okay, well, have a good day and bye.